pick of yours. What do you mean no pick? Ooh, Pop Smoke. Can a convert eat rice on Passover? Why not? Let's see, I guess, unless he's Ashkenazi or Moroccan. I heard Moroccans don't eat rice on Passover either. All right, what's up? What's up, Mateo? How's it going? Litvin belittles women. It's interesting. Like he accused me of like something with women. I'm like, where do you even get this from? This guy Litvin is just like an angry guy. He refuses to debate me, but he makes stuff up just to, Anyways, do I sound down? No, no. Good. Let's talk about how the first temple was built. How was it built? I don't know. There's many midrashim. Some people say that it was a worm that would cut stones. Be midrashim built on it. Totally not true. All right. What's the name of that worm? The worm that would cut stone. Shh. The shin. How can I join the Cabala Babish Tunnel Gang in New York? Okay. Yeah. Anyways, topic's the same, guys. I'm comparing everything against Judaism, and I think that Judaism will come out on top, at least the way I teach it. Invite to join live. I think we should come up regularly. Yeah, Judaism's better. Reasonable, logical, Torah-based Judaism. Perm, I went to Morristown and got the Expand 770 shovel pin. They have a pin? Interesting. I mean, that was the whole shtick there about them having a tunnel. They were trying to expand it. As a German, am I required by law to apologize? No. How do you reconcile unscientific claims in the Torah and Tanakh that has been debunked? I don't think the Torah stands on any historical claim, but mainly on the claim that it makes your life better, it makes the world better. I think that really can't be disproven. Yeah, that's essentially what the Torah is based on whether the commands within the Torah actually make society better, your lives better, not on whether you can prove that these stories happened or not. That's it. Your screen background is a good size. I can see everything. Welcome, Lucrecia. Anyways, guys, the show's about Judaism, but we do entertain other belief systems here. In terms of dialoguing with Christians and Muslims and even atheists, according to Halakha, you shouldn't try to convert people to Judaism. That's incorrect. I wish you could come up, Moshe. I mean, with a name like Moshe, I assume you're religious. I guess you don't have enough people to come up. But when anyone makes such a claim, I welcome them to educate the class on how this is forbidden. Is a goy a slur? Goy nowadays is somewhat used as a slur. From a religious perspective, Talmudic perspective, it's not a slur. It just means nation. But if someone says like this goy over there, I think that it's nicer to just say non-Jew. Like someone was saying, I just saw someone, I don't remember who it was. I think maybe some guy named Han Solo or something was saying that the word shiksa is not derogatory. The word shiksa is derogatory. It comes from it's like, I believe it's a female of shagets, which is like a detestable thing. Almost like a toeva. Yeah, no, shiksa is derogatory. The way I use goy, just okay. So yeah, any minute now. Any minute. Okay, here we go. Saint Holy X. I don't know. Welcome, Saint Holy.
I just had one question on the blood versus the religion. So when you said a non-Jew, for instance, I'm like 8% Ashkenazi, but I'm in no way does anybody in my whole family on both sides anywhere acknowledge that they're Jewish, even though the cousins have all done their blood test, but no one's ever. So anyway, so I don't know. I've never been to a synagogue, don't know anything about it, and have grown up in the church, obviously. So you can drop me down. I can listen if you want to discuss anything.
Yeah, so blood is completely insignificant in terms of how we relate to God. Being Jewish has nothing to do with blood. Now, if your mother happens to be Jewish, that makes you legally an Israelite, but not from a religious perspective, meaning not the way that God views you. It means that if you lived in the land of Israel, not today, but in biblical times when there was a Sanhedrin, and you were born of a Jewish mother, from that perspective, a religious Jewish mother, because back then secular people didn't live in Israel, they wouldn't make you reconvert, and you'd be liable for the punishments of the Sanhedrin. It's very similar to when someone is born into an Islamic family. They don't have to say their Shahada again, or at all, because they assume that you're growing up within the philosophy. But the simple fact that somebody could convert to Judaism, it means that it's all about belief and practice and actions. So I know that there's many people on TikTok that make it seem like, oh, it's not about that. It's we're a people and it's about blood. That's only post-Zionism. Zionism, and I support the state of Israel, but I don't support, any Zionist idea that teaches that we're united by blood and that, belief and actions don't matter. That somebody, well, as a matter of fact, this is the main reason they think that we're not for proselytizing or teaching people how to understand Judaism or the God of Israel properly, because they think like, well, we're not about that. We're about being a people. That's something that Zionism invented. Judaism is only a religion. It is not an ethno-religion. There's an ethnic component again to the Jewish people, and it's just that if you happen to have a Jewish mother, you're legally Jewish. That means you're legally liable, assuming we were living in biblical Israel. But that's it. From God's perspective, the land of Israel belongs to Torah keepers. No one there currently in mass has the right to live there. So I guess we could pick one over the other on who do we share more values with. But yeah, no, it's not about blood. It's about ethics, morality, and emulating a good God. And that's a Torah message. That's not even, it's rabbinic as well, but it's from the Torah. Yeah.
I'm with you. I was just differentiating between the religion and the people. So I'm just
the people still exist. Okay, so the people exist from a religious perspective too. If you're a Torah keeper and you're in a community of like-minded individuals, then that is the people of Israel religiously, what we call Klal Yisrael. That's them. The idea that people are going to unite on something irreligious, like a state, let's say, like a secular state, or on the fact that we eat falafel and shawarma and people speak Hebrew, then that's a bit trivial from a religious perspective. I'm not saying people could unite on anything, and call anything essentially an ethnicity, but what they shouldn't do is mix God with it and say that God endorses this, and like God considers me special, even though I don't even practice or live a life like God instructs me to, but just because of DNA. That's what makes us look primitive and bigoted. Yeah.
Well, that was just my question. When you say a non-Jew or a goy, without putting a negative slant on that, I'm a different nation, right? So so does that mean I just say, because I don't practice Judaism, I'm not a Jew, even if it's my mother's side? You understand?
Right.
I mean, I look identical to you if I put glasses.
That's fine. Here, I converted to Judaism, by the way. I converted 25 years ago. Most people don't think I'm a convert. I lived in Israel many years, and they think I'm Sephardi. But yeah, like if you don't practice Judaism from God's perspective, you're not Jewish. Meaning, you're not in any covenant with God. Could you be legally Jewish according to Jewish law? Because the Torah doesn't say anything about that the mother determines anything. That's a rabbinic decree, which I accept. I mean, I'm a rabbinic Jew, but I'm not going to say that God validates that. That's for the sake of consensus. How are you going to run a country if you're not able to determine who becomes a citizen or who is accepted as a citizen and who isn't? Because Gentiles are allowed to live in the land of Israel if they're in some way subject to halakha. From a different perspective, they're called gerim toshavim. They're called noides or a ger toshav. So we have to distinguish people who live under the Torah, who have accepted the Torah, versus those who don't. So this is why also, like, you wouldn't have irreligious Jews living in biblical Israel because they'd be liable to death penalty right away. I mean, unless they kept all the laws and just kept their beliefs to themselves, which is typically not the case. Anyways, welcome, Gula World. Gula World.
Hi. For the past 20 years, and during my journey of figure out my roots and where I'm coming from, I have to say I come from a very orthodox background, and after my marriage, which ended about like 11 years ago, I actually got I got burned a little from the culture, and I went to a spiritual research, and then only about 2 years ago, I got back to the culture. I have to say one thing: being a Jew is a lifestyle. You don't have to, from my experience, from my knowledge, being a Jew is a lifestyle. The culture is the first culture in the world that have been created ever. All the cultures, and I don't like to use the word religion, because religion is being created for one purpose, which is to control people. And all the religion in the world has, on the positive note, one mission, which is empower unconditional love and believe in the source of the divine light of the creator. So yes, as understanding the sources of being a Jew, we do have, this is the mother culture that where all the other cultures, I'm using the word culture and not religion because I seriously don't like that word religion for those reasons, because religions can turn to be very ugly. All the cultures in the world come from the same source, which is the Jewish source, which is the first language in the world, for example, was the Hebrew, the alphabet. And once you understand that source, you don't have to be a Jew to really to connect to that. And a lot of traditions, and not just traditions, a lot of lifestyle, way of living that comes from the Jewish side, from the source of the creation. It's working from, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, as long as you don't have any bad attention and you come from unconditional love, and you want to throw light on your people that with you. And when I say your people, meaning your family, your friends, people that you care.
I get it. Listen, I mean, I understand what you're saying, right? But basically, everything you said appears nowhere in the Torah. It doesn't appear in Torah Shabbat Peh or Torah Shabbat. It appears nowhere. It might be in Cabala. This notion of uniting with others via unconditional love and and the first language was Hebrew. It like I don't understand. You know, I mean, from a Torah perspective, the Torah is pushing a religion. Okay, what's the religion? Like being Cabala mitzvot. I mean, keeping the 613 commandments. Call that a religion. Call it a philosophy. Regardless, this idea that it's just all about just feeling good about yourself and being nice to other people without standards to adhere to. I don't know how you call that Judaism.
So let me explain something. So once you do the mitzvot is a way to ground. You know, there is a reason for every single mitzvah that you do, and once you understand the subconscious why you actually do those mitzvot, it makes a lot of sense. It's not just it's the Bible. You cannot take the Bible as a literally. The Bible, the Torah. Let's call it the Torah. You cannot take the Torah as literally.
Yeah, you can't say you're speaking for Judaism. I mean, you got to say this is your opinion or some sort of Eastern thought. It's just, I mean, the Torah doesn't teach us for sure. The Torah wants you to believe the Torah. I understand what you're saying, but it's just not Judaism. Now, where'd you grow up? Like, what city?
I grew up in Israel.
Yeah, but where?
It's like Ramat Gan.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's where Bar Ilan is, right?
Yeah.
So what's your background? Like you're Haredi or you're Dati Leumi or what?
No, I grew up for an Orthodox Jewish family. You know.
Yeah, but all this you didn't pick up in school, right?
No, my family not Haredi. It's just Shomrei Shabbat and you know all of this. But once you grow up into this mentality that you have to keep Shabbat and no one and you grow up in that sense that if you're not going to keep Shabbat, you're not going to be blessed.
Yeah, but this is a Jewish show. I mean, we're trying. Okay, that we believe in Torah. I'm Orthodox now. I mean, I'm not Haredi, but I'm like modern Orthodox, right? I mean, I lived in Israel, like in the Shtachim for 5 years, more like Dati Leumi. But everybody who's Orthodox agrees that you have to keep Shabbat, you have to keep Kashrut, you have to keep mitzvot in order to be. I mean, what Hashem calls an Am Segula. If you don't do these things, like how, from a Torah perspective, does God appreciate you? I don't think God has unconditional love for everybody. What does that even mean? Unconditional love? That means standards don't matter, because if everybody's loved the same, then it's not a merit-based system. It seems more like spirituality. From that perspective, I don't believe in the God that you believe in. It's just this idea, like, as a matter of fact, I think the belief in God is secondary. God wants us to behave in a certain way. He gave us a Torah, and because of the Torah, then we come to love God. But because love without standards, can't exist, for things to function correctly. So I mean, what you're describing is not Judaism, or at least it's not Orthodox Judaism. I mean, it could be like a more, progressive modern form of Judaism. But just so you know where we differ.
That's not true. That's not true, by the way. I don't agree with you on this. God, there's only one God, and when we come to this world, we come. Do you understand? The tree of life and the tree of knowledge concept?
I guess. What do you mean, like the Sefirot? I mean, what are you talking about?
Yes, the tree of life. And so when we come to this world, this world design, whatever you want can happen, and you can create to yourself. This is how God doesn't need to change. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever is happening is what you come to this world, and everything is available for you, and everything you can create with your own mind and your own self. Spirituality, call it God, call it Torah, whatever you call it, as Jewish, we call it God, but I'm saying
this is why I think Cabala is dangerous. I mean, I think Cabala is very dangerous, especially if people don't have a grounding. It just seems like you're I mean,
now you're judging me.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with judging people.
Of course, there is a lot of things.
Look, in Judaism, that we have to be dan d'chafschut. You give people the benefit of the doubt. I could judge you favorably. I mean, I'm not clearly, but the simple fact that you're bringing up the Sefirot and the Partzufim and Kabbalistic ideas, right? I mean, I could say that you're a Kabbalist, right? I mean, there's unless you view that as something negative.
Kabbalist. I'm studying Cabala, and I understand Cabala really well. And I understand that everything that you want can be created by yourself over here, and God created you for you. So you gonna go through some kind of a change and growth, so you will get to your full potential and influence other people in this world. This is the purpose of creation.
Okay, so I mean, like for the purpose of this show, everything you said is what we call pablum. It just seems that it sounds nice, but it means nothing. Ultimately, practically, it means something to you from a devotional perspective. But the Jewish people have to be united by action, not just belief. Okay, if beliefs don't encourage actions, then they're worthless, and that's what Kabbalah essentially is. People go into the room, right, and they meditate on I don't know what the Yud Kei Vav Kei, and they think they're making the world better. It has nothing to do with actual halacha, actually, keeping mitzvot, actually making the world a better place. So I'm not against Kabbalah, only when it begins to drown out the actual mitzvot. And it sounds like you're saying, like, you don't even have to keep Shabbat, you don't have to keep kashrut, and they're more important mitzvot than keeping Shabbat, in my opinion. Right?
So what's the reason? That's not what I said. What's the reason? If you're gonna keep Shabbat, you're gonna be benefit for that. What's the reason for keeping Shabbat? What's the reason for that?
Okay, I don't know the ethical reason. I mean,
okay.
God,
so what's the reason? What's the logical behind?
No, there is no
Shabbat?
logical. God says because He created the world for 6 days and rested on the seventh, we should do the same. However, the same God who said to keep Shabbat is the same God who said to honor your parents, is the same God who said to take care the widow, the orphan, the stranger. Half of our Torah are ethical commandments, and half of them are ceremonial commandments. What you're doing is that you're picking and choosing, saying this you could throw out, but the ones that tell you to honor your parents, this you should keep. Right? So, I mean, then
that's not what I said. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. That's you assuming that that's what I said. That's you assuming that that's why I'm taking that. Okay. That's not what I said. I'm saying, why you keep Shabbat? What's the logic of keeping Shabbat? Because God say, how do you know it says? God doesn't speak. What is God? When you speak about God, what is God?
Okay, so from a
is that like a little person in the sky that talks to you?
Okay. How God is represented in the Torah, but He does actually speak two of the mitzvot, like straight to the Jewish people, but He speaks to Moshe Rabbeinu. He speaks through Moshe Rabbeinu. We obviously believe this in faith, but we believe that the Torah came through Moses, but it was authored by God. And this is why it works to make the world a better place. So this is why I came to the assumption that if you're saying that you don't have to keep Shabbat, then why do you feel bound to keep any of the other mitzvot?
That's not what I said.
No,
I said
it was my assumption.
That's an assumption. I didn't say you don't have to keep Shabbat. I said if you keep Shabbat, you're gonna be benefit for that. But why? What's the logical that you're keeping Shabbat?
So it's called the hook. It's called the hook. All right. So with the rabbis call it hukim and mishpatim. So typically hukim are like mitzvot ben adam lechavero. Like mishpatim are mitzvot ben adam lechavero, and a hook is a mitzvah ben adam lemakom. Meaning like a mitzvah between you and God. Mitzvot between us and God, we don't even know why we do them. We don't know why we put on tefillin. We don't know why we have to keep Yom Kippur, or Rosh Hashanah, or like Yom Teruah. We don't know exactly. However, in terms
of that's a very low consciousness approach.
No, because there's a split. No, there's two. Okay,
there are very deep reasons for this.
We know why. But they aren't authoritative. I know Cabala and many Mikubalim make an attempt to give an answer for every chok. There are many rabbis, including Rashi, who says you're never going to know the reason, like for the hukim. You're never going to know, but you should still do them, right? Like, why do we have the paraduma? Why? Nobody knows. However, half of the Torah are ethical commandments that we do know the reason for because they're logical, they're reasonable, and they're ethical. And it seems that this is why we have other mitzvot to in some way preoccupy our time to keep us progressing in an ethical manner with the positive ones. The same God who told you don't unalive people is the same God who told you to keep Shabbat. So like from a logical perspective, you can't say this mitzvah is greater than like another mitzvah, like from a religious perspective. I mean, I could logically say it, right? But I can't say, that I'm going to pick and choose which one I'm going to keep over which one I'm not going to keep. So even though we don't know exactly why did God decide to create the world in 6 days and rest on the seventh, I mean, it doesn't matter. I know there's some rabbi out there that'll give an interpretation, but that's going to be his devotional, personal interpretation, which it could be nice, but nobody has to believe it. That's it. So if we don't know, then we shouldn't assume.
I understand. Thank you so much. I wish you good luck and the best.
All right.
Thank you.
Likewise. All right. Okay. Hold on. Okay, we'll let Theo Vaughn up. Theo Vaughn, the vampire's in the house.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if you knew about this, but in the East, bro, they be up to some magic stuff, dude. You know, they're into that stuff over there, bro. I don't know if you knew about this, dude.
You mean like Arkansas? I mean, that's like the Bible Belt.
Kansas? No, not Arkansas. More like the east part of the world.
Here, guys. Here, listen. Like, I don't mind people coming up here and giving their rendition how things should function religiously. However, the show itself is a Jewish show. Jewish meaning Orthodox. I get it. The vast majority of Jews aren't Orthodox. Meaning, Orthodox doesn't mean anything. I'm using Orthodox as a placeholder for Torah observant. It's kind of hard to hold how that lady holds, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of religious Orthodox people who think like she does, but still feel bound to keep all the mitzvot. There's no big issue with thinking how she thinks as long as you keep it to yourself. Like, you can't say Judaism teaches.
No, it's just because it's the New Age stuff where it's like all about love and kindness and stuff.
No, I get it. Yeah, you could say it, but you shouldn't say Judaism is or Judaism teaches and then say those things. You could say it's my opinion. I'd like it to be this way. You know,
it's like both. Judaism is like a special thing because, for one thing, it's technically not a religion, and it's not an ethnicity.
It's a religion. Judaism is a religion.
Right?
Here, by the way,
also,
here, Moshe, come up, Moshe.
You balance like the love with like the strength. Like, that's a whole part of it. So you're not just like walking around like Jesus, like almost like overly innocently, like loving on people. I don't know. You're you're doing a different thing. You're like balancing.
So my friend Mateo Shlomo is saying that it's always opinion. That's always implicit. Now, it's almost everything's opinion unless the Torah itself says it, right? I mean, assuming you've made the declaration that you're holding by the Torah, then we can all agree that we all claim to be Torah observant Jews, that is automatically source material. If the Torah says it, the Torah says it. What we shouldn't say is that anything else that the Torah doesn't say from an objective perspective, anything else apart from that, we can't call it Torah. Right? We just can't say Judaism says and then bring up a concept of the reason.
In the actual social circles, when a rabbi refers to Torah, he's talking about Tanakh. He's talking about
incorrect.
He's talking about other stuff.
It's true. There are people who may do that, right? Incorrectly. There's many rabbis, but including Rabbi Mizrahi, Rabbi Yaron Reuven, they'll constantly say the Torah teaches, and they'll quote the Ramchal. Right? That's kind of like, I mean, if that doesn't make you a Baal Tosef, like if that doesn't make you someone who's actually adding to the Torah, I don't know what adding to a Torah is. There's nothing that, if you say Torah teaches and you give either your opinion or the opinion of your rabbi, then you're adding to the Torah. What you could say, our rabbis teach, or Mekubalim teach, or my Rosh Hashiva taught, but you can't say Torah teaches and bring in something that's not directly from the Torah. That's it. Even if they wanted to say Torah Shabbat Peh, maybe that could in some way eke through. Like,
there's a lot going on there. Like, I mean, Lord have mercy, dude. Like, because all of Gemara and Mishnah is all oral tradition.
Some people say the the Torah teaches, and they'll quote like a sikha of the Rebbe, right. like a work from the Lubavitch Rebbe. So this is why people don't take us seriously. This is why, but it's easy to say these things when you never have to debate. Can you imagine if a rabbi actually had to debate? I have to watch this Candace Owens debate. I mean, somebody told me that he wiped the floor with this rabbi. I have to hear the debate. I'm curious what happened. But yeah, I want to elevate Judaism to, where I think it used to be, to a place that a rabbi could engage with an imam, with a Christian, in a logical, reasonable discussion about God and ethics, and come out on top. Okay.
That's interesting.
What?
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. Like the idea of conversation between like all three, because.
Well, that's what we do on this show, by the way. This is the only show that does it. I could honestly say, now there are some shows that talk about Judaism. This is the only one that goes up against Christianity, Islam, and atheism from a religious Jewish perspective. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the world. I know I stammer and all this stuff, but I typically come out on top of my discussions. Okay, most people don't say Asher, sounds like an ignoramus, right? So I want to encourage other rabbis. I'm not saying the other rabbis are dumb. Okay, I'm just saying that their intelligence could be better used trying to disinfect minds from radical, unethical ideologies. Isn't that obvious, right? I mean, what's the point of having the most sharpest minds in the religious world if all they're going to do is only teach Jews on trivial matters? And by trivial, I mean things that have nothing to do with daily life. Right? I mean, if they're still bringing it, what?
I feel like I don't even need to talk, dude. You got me, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got me, dude.
You know, and I do. I mean, I've met rabbis who have an extremely sharp mind, not on TikTok.
Right, but they're just focusing on the wrong stuff.
Yeah, it's like during COVID when I saw religious people, religious leaders, still talking about trivial stuff, and instead of like, you know, I don't know, like weaponizing their congregation with some knowledge to fight against tyranny. Right, the only people I've seen do that are the Christians. Okay, the Christians are the ones who say, I'm going to keep my church open. Come shut it down. That takes courage. The rabbis were the first one to close the synagogue. Such cowardice. Anyways, guys, first we tell the truth, and then we give our opinion. Okay? And I am a Jewish person. However, if there's something wrong that my people do or something in the Torah that I can't articulate from an ethical perspective, I'll say it. And this is why people respect my show. Because even though as truthful as I am, right, about the Jewish people, Jewish life, and, you know, Judaism, I think that the conclusion is that on the show, Judaism always ends up coming on top. And I've been Jewish for over 25 years. If I haven't left, and I'm not married to Judaism, by the way, I don't think anyone should be married to their religion. Because then what's the point of trying to help other people think clearly, like if you are not invested to the point that you would also leave if that you found a better system, a better belief system. Right? But by the simple fact that I've been Jewish for over 25 years means I'm not going anywhere. Okay, at least I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, never stop searching and always be committed to change. If it's like that, how can you criticize anyone who's in an unethical belief system and ask them, I wonder why don't you change? Because they'll say, I'm just like you.
Wait, what about this? What about this comment? It says, how about dispelling the myth that Jewish people are ancient Hebrew Israelites? Are they not the same thing? Or are they?
It's not even worth it. I mean, it's not worth it. I mean, like, don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. I'm telling you, because that's what it is. I mean,
I feel you, dude. It's Jews, bro. In Israel, dude, I've talked to them, dude. Those are Jews, bro. Those are like real Jewish people, dude.
I don't care who calls themselves what. Like, if someone commits themselves to Torah observance, then they're Israel.
They're secretly Wendigos walking around. They're not real Jews, dude.
Yeah, no, it's anyways, it doesn't. I mean, honestly, like, do you think that a secular Jewish person in Israel is technically Jewish in God's eyes? No. I mean,
they're just waiting for Mashiach. Dude.
They may be Jewish halakhically, yeah, but that doesn't mean that God validates them as Jewish. And yes, I get it. God sanctioned the Beit Din HaGadol, the Sanhedrin, to create halachot like this, but that doesn't mean that he validates someone's existence via blood. Right? I mean, we have the whole notion of Karas.
It's not blood. It's more like when I talk to and they're speaking Ivrit and they know about Torah and Tanakh, and then also when they got military gear on and they're looking tactical.
No,
it's
I mean,
like
that's like colloquially Jewish. Colloquially Jewish is not religious. We have to make a distinction between what's colloquially Jewish and what's religiously Jewish. The problem that I have with many Zionists, right, and I support this statement,
I'm a Zionist.
Is that they're into fusions. I was talking about, I think yesterday, how I hate the whole notion of fusions, right? Like if you have some Honduran restaurant and you're serving Mexican food, but that's close enough. Like Italian restaurant with Russian food. Fusions, just leave it outside of the conversation. Okay.
You know what's really interesting as opposed to fusion?
What?
Fission, bro. You know about fission, right?
You know, what's that? The flux capacitor.
No, I'm talking about actual fission in real life. Do you know what that is?
So you just blew everybody's mind.
No, it's not that complicated. You learn in elementary school, but do you know what like nuclear fission is and nuclear fusion is? The difference?
No.
Bro, look into that, dude. It's pretty interesting. It might lighten you a little bit, dude.
Yeah, I'm always open to learn.
It's nuclear, dude. It's nuclear. But anyway, enough about that, dude. You got to look into it yourself and get back to me on that. But yeah, so you gotta be careful with the fusion stuff because you start doing that with genders, you're getting into like witchcraft territory and stuff like that. And let's see what else. Like, it's interesting that the sun functions on fusion. Just hint. Like the sun functions on basically perfect fusion. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So guys, I know there's haters in the comments. The voice.
Bro, have you ever heard of DGK before? The skate brand?
DGK.
Yeah. It stands for Dirty Ghetto Kids, bro.
Anyway,
They used to sell these socks and it says haters are my motivators, bro.
that's what's up. That's me.
Mhm.
The more they push, the more I push back. All right, any haters, right? Who currently act like my motivators, come up. Let's do it. Let's have a nice, respectful dialogue. Honestly, you know, like,
Question for Asher.
Come up
oh, wait,
and, like,
hold
guys
on,
hate
hold
you.
on. We have
Question for
Harami.
Asher. Someone in the chat wants to know, in your humble opinion, is Judaism a religion or a way of life or both? Neither? Why or why not?
Both. I think every religion out there hates being called a religion, right? Christians say, I don't have a religion, I have a relationship, right? It's because it sounds so bland and ordinary. Colloquially, it's a religion. From an outsider's perspective, which is ultimately the major perspective that matters, it's a religion. Okay, is it a people as well? For sure. It's a people essentially united by belief and practice. If you happen to belong to the Jewish people genetically, in God's eyes, if you're not Torah observant, you're not part of Israel. In God's eyes, according to halakha.
That's like 3,000 years ago, man. That's like 3,000 years ago, man.
Well, God is older than 3,000 years ago. But
It's like
anyways,
2,336 years ago, dude. You know what I'm saying, dude?
all right,
It's like that
anyways,
long ago.
Theo Von in the house, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
But Hashem is not just gonna like burn Israel just because they're a little bit atheist.
That's not
you
it.
know
No,
what I'm
but
saying?
forget about that. I mean, I support the state of Israel, but guys, we have to make distinctions. Life is about distinctions. Judaism is about distinction, right? In Parshat Kadoshim, it says Kadoshim to you. God tells us to be holy. What does that mean? To be separate. Don't be like everybody else, right? Don't be a coward like most people. Stand up for what's right. It says in Parkavod, in a place that lacks masculinity, it says, man up, Israel, man up. There was a ministry, like a BHI ministry called Man Up Israel, right? It's pretty dope,
Yeah,
huh?
have you seen the Israeli guys? They're killing terrorists. They're trying to kill them, dude.
All right. The little
Bro,
Israeli
those are
heartthrob.
men, dude. I'm pretty sure, dude. They're military trained.
No, I get it. I'm an infantryman also, but I didn't serve in Israel. I served in America. But that being said, okay,
I'm just saying they're
you
cool,
can be a
dude.
decent
They're
person.
interesting people.
Hold on one second. You can be a decent person, an
Mhm.
outstanding young man, and not be Jewish, right? I mean, heck, my mother's
Of
not
course.
Jewish. You could be a decent person and be an idolater. You can't be a holy person and be an idolater just because the Torah sets standards for holiness. But you could be decent. You could be ethical. Let's
Well,
make
what
a
is
distinction here.
idolatry, right? It depends on if you ask a Muslim, a Christian, or a Jew what idolatry is.
No, correct. You can be a decent Muslim, and I consider Muslims to be idolaters, right? Only because
Because
you're not
of Cabala,
religiously
because of
Jewish
what?
doesn't mean you're a bad person. But there is a certain standard that the Torah expects us to uphold, right?
So do you consider the like Islam idolatrous because of the Kaaba or the Black Stone or what?
Oh, I don't even get that far, right? I consider it idolatry from a macro perspective. There's two types of idolatry in Judaism. There's idolatry for Jews and idolatry for Gentiles. When I say that Islam is idolatry, I mean it's idolatry for Jews, because when you're talking to a Muslim, they don't even want to process the notion of what's the standard for Gentile. They want to know what's the ultimate standard. The ultimate standard is Torah Judaism. The word avodah zarah, right, literally means foreign service or foreign worship, strange service or strange worship, meaning you're worshiping God in a way that.
Zara? How do you spell Zara in that case?
Anyways.
No, how do you spell it? What are the characters in every?
Yeah, but you're making me like lose my trend here.
Well, there's a similar word called Zara, and it's a special.
No,
word,
it's a
so
different
that
word from seed. I mean, it's from muzad, from strange. Anyways, so I just lost my train of thought. Theo Von, ladies and gentlemen, Theo Von. Okay, so
you said a special word.
if you don't worship God by keeping His commandments, by the way, that's an FYI. The only way we worship God is by keeping His commandments. Every ancient god had a specific mode of worship, right? Baal Peor made you eat beets, right, and defecate in front of it. In Judaism, the way we worship the God of Israel is by keeping mitzvot. If you belong to a religion, even though they claim to have the same God in their religion that you have in your religion, but they say that your source text has been either corrupted or is incomplete, that means the way they worship the same God that they claim that we share is in a different way that He prescribes. That literally means avodah zarah. That literally means strange worship. It's foreign. So it's literal from that perspective. You could be a monotheist and be an idolater, right? Because you could worship the wrong God, right? I mean, idolater doesn't necessarily mean that you're a polytheist.
So just from your perspective, like, for instance, like Muslims will argue that Allah is the same God as the Christian and the Jewish God, but you're saying that it's not the same God as the Jewish God?
It can't be the same God if He expects different things from you. He expects something else. It's a different book. The names could be the same. You know, El was the name of an ancient Canaanite god. Like, do we walk around saying that we had the same gods as the Canaanites? Yeah. Just blow your mind. Welcome, Courtney.
How are you? Biggest hater here. You said you listened to come up, so here I am.
Haters.
Fight me, bro.
Haters unite. What's that movie? Oh, there was this remember like Miranda, like from Netflix. You know, like Haters Back Off. No, right? It was called Haters Back Off. Right?
No, I don't know that. What is it?
Forget it. Yeah, it's a good Netflix show. Wait, anyways, well, Yehuda, hi. Like, does that answer your question? I mean, did I even try to?
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel it was a satisfactory answer for sure for this person who asked in the chat.
Here, listen. I mean, I see you with the Israeli flag in the back. Okay, I support the state of Israel, but I hope that you make an attempt to make a distinction between the secular state of Israel and biblical Israel. Many people.
What made you think? What made you think that was not the case?
Oh no! I'm. If it is the case, then I'm glad, because most people misrepresent.
I was the one. I know about Torah. Well, see, the thing is, my dad's not Jewish, but on our genealogy test that we did, it comes out 100% Zionist. So I don't know what to make of that.
What does that mean? You know, it's like I took a genealogy test and it came out 100% Republican. You know. America,
funny.
F yeah.
That's funny.
It sounds like Kid Rock. Yeah, like a Jewish Kid Rock.
That is funny, bro. Like a what's her name song? I took a DNA test and turns out I'm 100% bad, even though you know what I'm saying.
Okay, interesting. All right. No, I dig it. No, hey, look, guys. I've said it many times. You don't have to be a Zionist to support Israel in this day and age. Okay. You just have to have a moral compass that's intact. That's it. You know, most people get stuck on first stage thinking. They think, I support Israel, I might as well call myself a Zionist. Let's make a distinction here, because then they're saying, well, everyone was a Zionist.
Yeah,
King
because
David was a
Zionism
Zionist.
started as an atheist movement, technically, bro, and that's not
Absolutely.
cool. Dude.
Right, and so only because
I'm a religious Zionist. I'm a very religious Zionist to the point of probably being non-Zionist. But I'm very contrarian. Ever since I was a lad, I just loved disagreeing with everyone. So when I first became religious, I was. Can you not laugh over me, please? Thank you. I don't need you laughing. I don't need a audience track. Anyway, sorry for being derailed. So I just love disagreeing with people. So when I became Baal Teshuva at the age of 18, I embraced like the anti-Zionist Satmar view. But like that's like I was still using a smartphone, so it didn't really work. So that's stupid. And also, yeah, I'm more of a Rav Moshe Feinstein man now myself. But I love. But now that like I'm more into like Judaism, I feel like I have to disagree with the Haredim by flashing Zionist flag and getting positive approbation from not so religious Jews and the not I like to call them the not yet religious Jews.
Wow, very optimistic. All right, yeah, and that's that. I mean, I could get down with that. I mean, like Rav Moshe Feinstein wasn't a Zionist either. So, I mean, he wasn't an anti-Zionist, but I think he's probably what's called non-Zionist, which is probably, I mean, that's more what I am, which is the Haredi approach.
For those who don't know, who is Rabbi Moshe Feinstein?
Yeah, so, I mean, he's called Rav Moshe. He's passed away. When did he pass away? 86, 87?
In the 1980s. He was a very old man.
Yeah, and he was Russian. Rav Moshe wrote Igris Moshe, like I think that's where he became famous. You know, his letters of responsa. What's his famous ruling? I guess he's the big. Well, the reason that we're able to enjoy what's called Chalav Stam is because of Rav Moshe Feinstein. That means Jews nowadays who don't have
products.
Yeah, they're like OUD. MacArthur milk, any milk in America, we're able to drink because of Rav Moshe Feinstein. Thank you, Rav Moshe Feinstein. By the way, most people don't know that he wouldn't eat galad kosher meat. That he was very much against the Hungarians trying to corner the kosher meat market. For meat to be kosher, it's automatically galad, at least for Ashkenazim, and that's another famous thing he did.
Bro, I just Googled this guy. Bro, is this the Mashiach, bro?
Why? Every guy with a white long beard is the Messiah now?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, he was an influential guy for sure in the Ashkenazi world.
Interesting.
And the Ashkenazi
he's regarded as like among like Haredi Jews. He was like considered like the leader of the generation, at least in America.
Yeah, absolutely.
No such thing as a leader of a generation, dude. There's only a leader, bro. There's only a leader.
You say, but he's playing with you.
No, I'm serious, dude. There's no such thing as a leader of a generation, dude. There's only a leader, bro.
Well, a generation is 40 years, right? You know, so
imagine 1,000, dude. Imagine 3,000, bro.
All right, deal.
I'm not even kidding. No such thing as a generation.
Can we please pick this guy? He's very loud and annoying. Talks like a black guy, even though he's not.
There's only such thing as a. Whoops, my bad. I flipped it. Whoops, my brain. There's no such thing as a generational leader, bro. There's only a leader, dude. I'm serious.
All right, next topic. Anyways, regardless, guys. All right, guys. Haters, come up. Haters.
I'm here, bro. I'm here.
No,
What's
you're not
up?
a hater. You're like a devil's advocate.
Asker, do you see my watch? You see my Hebrew watch I got from Israel?
Oh, very nice.
It's from ADI.
Uh-huh.
So Hebrew alphabet watch. Sorry for derailing.
So for people who don't know, he showed me a watch that instead of having numbers, it had Hebrew letters on it. Yeah.
Like I'll let back give them for like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually kind of cool, dude. I'm gonna buy one of those. How much is that? I'm gonna Google it right now.
Yeah.
They're cheap. They go for about $100 to $120. Not necessarily including shipping.
Bro, easy peasy. I'm gonna spend my next check on a tattoo, and then I'm gonna get that watch, bro.
Oh no, I don't want to help. I don't want to help you to get it. Now that you say you want to get tattoos, I don't. I don't teach people into tattoos, especially if they don't have. They're planning on getting a tattoo. I'm strict like that. I forgive Asher because he's a great man, but I'm not mochel.
Yeah,
I heard that in Judaism now, when you get a tattoo, the tattoo has consciousness, so you have to cut the skin off before you bury the Jewish person.
No, so that's a myth.
This guy is obviously a troll.
No, I know Theo Vaughn here for a while. Theo Vaughn is no, it's okay. Just relax, man. By the way, I saw your video today. You have like a beautiful head of hair. Anyways.
A tattoo watch.
Okay, a tattooed watch.
That's so stupid.
Well, it'll technically be right twice a day from that perspective.
Judah,
oh my god.
Judah, how old are you?
I'm older than time itself. No, I'm kidding. I'm 23, bro. I'm a
old
human
enough
man.
to be within you.
So you're still
You were in elementary school and I was in high school.
Okay, all right, guys. All right, so we have a new guest. We have 2 new guests.
That means my brain is smart.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so on TikTok we have a guest. We have a guest on YouTube. But welcome Jamal from TikTok. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Tell us about yourself. Yeah.
My question to you is, why does Judaism defy God? My examples are all the people of the book, the women are supposed to cover their hair. You guys, you choose to wear wigs. That's not what God said.
Wait. Okay, hold on.
What are you talking about?
I agree with you. I
know you agree because you're probably like a student of Rav Yosef. He did like
obviously, yes.
Okay, all right. So
another thing I must
wait,
add.
no, just let me respond, and I'll let you ask more questions. If the commandment is to cover your hair, why wouldn't a wig suffice?
Because a wig is synthetic. It shows hair.
No, but not your hair.
But regardless, it shows hair. You're supposed to cover hair.
Okay.
You're supposed to cover beauty.
It goes against the spirit of the mitzvah.
Hold on. Sorry. Nowhere in the Torah. Well, let's start from there. Nowhere in the Torah does it say that a woman has an obligation to cover her hair, and for sure, it doesn't tie it to beauty. Now, if you want to get to Jewish law, nowhere in the Mishnah, right, which is our source of Jewish law, does it ever say that hair covering is for beauty.
But the thing is, the Jewish law in the Torah has been changed.
No.
In order to fit you guys.
Yeah, but you keep moving it. But you have to give me the source.
Move anything.
Okay, so you're saying that the original Torah said that a woman had to cover her hair, and on top of that, cover it
all the women of the book have to dress modesty. With modesty.
Hey, wait, hold on. Hey, guys, hey, look.
That's church.
Okay, so show me where in the Torah does it say that a woman has to dress modestly.
I don't have a Torah with me.
Okay, but it's not there.
I know for a fact that all the people of the book follow the same monotheistic beliefs, and all the books are the same. So if
you
the
must be a
Christians
Muslim.
have to cover, if the Muslims have to cover, what makes you guys so special?
Okay,
where
hold on.
you can just put on a wig, wear half a skirt, and say, "Oh, I'm being modest."
Okay. So the reasons Muslims cover is because they took those standards from rabbinic law. Yes, according to the oral law, that's the reason why women wear hijab. It actually appears, it predates Islam in Judaism. The reason Orthodox women don't show the shape of their bodies and Islamic women don't either is because of rabbinic Judaism. It's not in the Torah. Let's just make distinctions here.
That's interesting that you said that, because that's true. Wow.
Yeah, obviously. Now the Torah does expect women not to look like men, right? There's a prohibition of
Amen.
Like
Jesus
wearing the
Christ.
the kalim of a man. Like a kli could be like an article of a man. I guess that could even be a baseball cap. Like women are supposed to set themselves apart like every Israelite. Like we mentioned Kadoshim Tiyu, which is the commandment to be holy like God is holy. Don't emulate the nations of the world. But there aren't standards of modesty in the Torah. They're just not there, right? I wish they were there, by the way. But they appear in the oral law. So I personally think that a wig constitutes a hair covering. Because the notion, first of all, every woman has an obligation to look good for her husband. This notion that they're supposed to look ugly appears nowhere in our source material, meaning the Mishnah. It appears nowhere in the Mishnah, right? All like frumpy and what's the word? I mean, help me out, Cordy.
Disheveled.
Frumpy. Thank you. Yes.
So hold on. So I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. The Mishka, you said?
No, the Mishnah.
The Mishnah. So these are laws that were written by men, not by God?
Oh, correct. But it was a court that was sanctioned by God.
So how does that even make sense?
Because God tells us.
Do you follow man or do you follow God?
Oh, well, this is what makes Judaism a little bit more sophisticated than the newer religions. God told us to listen to this court that he himself sanctioned. It says, in the Torah, God tells Moses to establish a court of 70 elders, right? And he tells us not to stray from the right or to the left of what they instruct us, that by disobeying them, we'd be disobeying God. So yes, do we acknowledge that these are man-made laws? Absolutely. But for the sake of consensus, God understood that in order for Israel to move forward in a uniform manner, there has to be some laws unifying us, because there's many ambiguous laws in the Torah. If everybody walked around with the Bible under their arm in biblical Israel, there'd be no unity, right? Everyone would keep the Sabbath on a different day and be unalived, right? Because there's a death penalty attached to breaking the Sabbath. They wouldn't be able to establish months, because nowhere in the Torah does it say to like look at the moon to establish a month, right? So we need some sort of consensus. So it's consensus that's sanctioned by God. I know it sounds sophisticated or weird to someone who lives in the Western world and tries to interpret life like by every page of the Quran, but that's not the way things ran in biblical Israel.
Okay, all right. So you rest my case there. My other question to you is, how come do you guys get to charge interest to everyone else, but it's illegal to charge one to a Jew? What makes you so special?
Because the Torah says so. That's why.
Because the Torah says so. You guys changed the Torah.
Hold on. You see, Courtney, what you did? See, Courtney's like an instigator. Lending money is a beautiful thing. People line up to borrow money. So when you say that we charge interest, you make it seem like people are running away from it. Interest and financing built this country. It's a beautiful thing. The difference is that in Islam, you have no incentive to lend money, nor do you have an obligation to lend money. So what?
Go ahead. I'm not going to interrupt you.
Continue. Yeah. Okay. So meaning, if somebody wants a loan in an Islamic society, according to your interpretation, you're not obligated to give them the loan. So charging interest or financing is an incentive to the lender. Now, that being said, Muslims do charge interest.
No, we don't.
Really? If you go to Dubai today and you want to go buy an apartment, will they offer you financing?
They will offer you financing, but the financing is different.
It's based off interest.
You a higher price.
What's the difference? It's the same. It's the exact same thing.
Month over month. Interest is enslavement.
Oh,
you and I both know that.
Okay, so then Jews don't practice that either, by the way.
Through interest.
Okay, so show me in the Torah where it allows Jews.
It's not reputable because you guys change it.
No, but where in the Torah? Yeah, but now you're changing the argument. You're saying the Torah tells us to do
interest.
Okay, so show me where the Torah says that we're allowed to behave unethically with money when we lend it to people, like lie to them about secret charges or anything like that. So what you're basically saying is that ribis, like interest, it's essentially price gouging and in some way being dishonest with money. Jews are not allowed to do that with Jews or Gentiles, by the way. To be dishonest is not allowed. This is not the first time I've had this discussion with Muslims on this topic.
Listen to me. If I was Jewish and I wanted to go grab a loan from one of my other Jewish brothers, they would give me the loan, no problem.
Right.
But if I come to them as a Christian, I'm going to get hit with a 15% tax, not tax, but interest every month.
Okay.
And this is how you guys enslave people.
Wait, so like if you went to a Muslim from your group of Islam and asked them for a loan, they just wouldn't give it to you.
Yes, they would.
There's no incentive for them to give it to them, like to you, nor are they obligated to. So who's helping you out here? The person who's charging you some interest and putting you in the great position of paying it back, right? That's
enslaving.
That's what's so amazing about a loan. Most people wouldn't even own houses in America like if it wasn't for the financial system. That means you lend people money and you give them, you know, the ability.
But you don't ever own the home.
Hold on one second. You give them the ability and
finances.
You give them the ability to pay it back with honor and dignity. What a great concept. It's such an honorable idea. I don't know how a Muslim could think that it's a bad thing.
Let me ask you something. Why is America in so much debt that they can't pay back?
For the third time.
Most of the debt is interest.
Bro, why do you keep changing the subject when he whacks the floor with you?
Wait, hold on. America is in debt, you mean with China?
No, in general.
Oh,
we have $33 trillion worth of debt.
Americans or America?
Interest.
Wait, hold on. Americans or America?
America, Americans, same thing.
Oh, wait, hold on. Yehuda
We're left with the bag, in other words.
Yeah, go ahead, Yehuda.
So Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi Shlita takes Bitcoin donations now, apparently. What do you think of that?
Oh, wait, that's a different topic. But what's the big deal?
Sorry.
Money, you know? I mean,
yeah, that's what. Sorry, I thought I could change the topic.
The last question is this.
Here, guys, I take your Bitcoin donations also, in case you want to throw money my way. I mean, I am a greedy Jewish person. Go ahead.
My last question is this: if you guys are God's chosen people, right? So you claim, why don't you just wish for death if you know you're going to go right to heaven? Why live on this earth if you know you're good with God?
Okay.
The world is a place.
So this is the first time you've ever come up in my life because you know that I don't teach that. This notion that there's anything in this world as chosen people apart from anyone who distinguish themselves by merit. All right, like just like you. If you strive hard to be a decent person, you, from that perspective, if you follow the God of Israel, you are superior to other people who are lazy, who don't try as hard, right? So
so you put yourself as superior to all other humans? I thought God looks at us equal.
Wait. I'm superior to a lot of people, by the way. All right.
Oh, see, that's
hold on.
Hashem definitely does not see us all as equal. That's for sure. Do you think Hashem looks at us the same like he does to a pedophile, a rapist?
Yeah, don't use those words on this show, please. No,
oh, sorry, I forgot.
Taken down quickly. Listen. This notion that everyone is born equal, I agree. Everyone starts off equal. However, what the left considers equity is equality of outcome. People don't end up equal. Unfortunately, I wish they did. Okay. However, some people just strive harder. I'm a marathon runner. Okay. I'm a veteran infantry soldier. Right. I think that I've distinguished myself more than some guy who plays video games all day. And I'm pretty sure
that's all worldly, and that's what
we're talking about, right?
No. If you guys, you're chosen by God. Forget about the.
Oh, we're not chosen by God. No, forget about that. I don't believe we're chosen by God.
Okay, you don't believe you're chosen by God.
Oh, what, you want me to say that we're chosen by God? I mean, would that make you feel better?
I mean, it's just canned responses, Asher. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're reading from a script.
Hold on.
Here,
if you guys aren't chosen by God,
we chose to be chosen.
Like Jewish hatred 101.
How come did we go from Magna Carta laws to Talmud laws? What made you guys in charge?
Who went? I mean, who went by Talmudic laws? So what are you talking about? You mean America?
They stopped doing that in the 1600s.
But what are you talking about?
They started going by Talmud law instead of the Magna Carta laws.
What Talmudic law is in place in the U.S. today? I mean, there is
this whole motion of the Jews deserve Israel. That's Talmudic laws.
That's no. As a matter of fact, the Talmud would be against that. I mean, the Talmud would say that we have to wait till the redemption. Yeah, no, the Talmud does not justify secular Zionism. I'm not a Zionist, by the way. I think that you came up on the wrong show. I think we agree more than we disagree. But you just think that, I mean, I'm like your cookie cutter Jew who walks around saying that I'm superior, even though I don't even believe in God. Jews choose to be chosen. It clearly says in the Torah.
So God didn't choose you?
Hold on. I mean, if you're familiar with what the Torah specifically says that if a Jew doesn't keep the Torah, he's what's called lekaret. He will be cut off from his people, right? So how can you be chosen and cut off at the same time? Well, you can't, right? It's merit. That means if you follow God's law, then you're his chosen people. You're his treasured nation. That's what it says. The problem with the people who keep on using the word chosen people is that they start reading, right, the beginning of the Bible and they give up because they're not religious. Yeah, so it's quite simple for anyone who knows the Bible. Okay, now, granted, there's a lot of Jews here who misrepresent Judaism. And this is why I do this show. You know, there's a lot of things I could be doing, but I'm here doing damage control.
Can I just say, your representation of Judaism, I just want to thank you, because it's not so as harsh and demonic and enslaving as everyone else. So I will thank you for that, for your interpretation.
So then I encourage you to consider becoming Jewish as an option. Okay.
I'm sorry. If I do that, I'll never get into heaven.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But just know that it's possible.
It's not possible.
No, you know what I mean? That it's like not for you to get into heaven. It's possible for you to become Jewish if you wanted to, right? Regardless, as long as you know that. Now, I'm not encouraging you to convert. I'm encouraging you to study the Torah and possibly love God and Torah to such an extent that one day you'd want to convert. I just want you to know that you were welcome.
It's funny because I don't need the Torah when Allah gave us the Quran.
I know you believe that. Yes, but just know that I welcomed you, right? I don't want you to say that we only keep it to ourselves and we only care about ourselves. Some people may do that, but this Jewish person believes that the Torah should be offered to everyone. Just like, there's a tale that God offered the Torah to all the nations and only Israel accepted it, right? Yeah, we have a mitzvah to emulate God. Just like God offered the Hebrews and the mixed multitude the Torah, I'm offering you the Torah. That's it. Just know that the offer was made.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you. I didn't mean to come up here and be disrespectful.
No, you weren't.
If I offended anyone, I apologize. I just wanted to, there's some things in my mind that's just not clear and makes no sense. And I just wanted to know your opinion on them.
No problem.
That's all.
No problem. Anyways, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Yes, no problem.
All right. You see how different things end up when you treat people like human beings? Instead of just calling people names and like Semite, this and that, okay, these people genuinely want to learn. They genuinely want to learn. And the way you defeat bad ideas are only with good ideas. Not with today, I got told off in some Israel-Palestine live because I broke down the whole idea. Like, how can you make fun of Palestinians if you haven't made an attempt to share your values, your religious values with them? Not that there are many Jews who are religious on TikTok, but for those who are, if someone is misrepresenting the Torah, it's your obligation to go in and say, you know what? That's not what the Torah teaches. You know what? Our God seems to be a little more loving than your God. That's how you win people over. You don't just call them names and anti-Semite and block them. Anyways, go ahead, Yehuda.
So I was sorry for derailing and for using inappropriate language. Rabbi Mizrahi now takes Bitcoin. I just learned you also take Bitcoin. What is the significance of this, and why is Bitcoin a good thing? Why or why not?
Because we're Jews and we love money. That's what's up. I'm kidding, guys. This is a nonprofit organization. If anyone wants to support my programming, they could. I'm not against religious people getting money for their services, right? It's okay, for us to make LeBron James rich, but some religious guy who actually helps people with their problems, I'm not saying me, right? They should also be treated with some financial, decency. With that being said,
a little bit like Paul now, brother.
Ooh, that's it. There's some things that are permissible but not beneficial. Anyways, welcome Yakar Morales.
Hey, Rabbi. It's Yakar, the guy you converted around this time last year.
All right. All right. Sounds good. So Yakar means like expensive.
Yeah. You were going to help me picking out the name.
Really?
Yeah. I was at your around this time last year. I converted with you.
So many. All right, so you've been to my
I
house.
don't remember anything.
I don't know. I'm losing my
I'm
mind.
sure I have a goldfish memory these days.
I mean, do goldfish have a bad memory?
Yes, horrible.
But an elephant never forgets, right?
Right.
All right. Well,
That's
anyways,
me.
welcome, Yakara. Welcome, Mike.
All right, so Rabbi, I just had a quick question for you.
Thanks.
So I was reading up on in Mishnah Torah about erusin and nisuin. So I know that both are done at the same time at a Jewish wedding, but I want to know, is it possible for them to still be done separately, like where you do one first and a year later the other one? Like, how would that work? Like, just some explanation on that.
Yeah, it's like he's talking about betrothal, and like the second part that's called nisuin, which is like with the actual, like how you consummate a marriage. Well, there's three ways: kesef, shtar, bia. Like that's the second part of the marriage. I mean, I know someone who's doing it right now, like waiting a year, and sometimes even more. By the way, yeah, I mean it could be done. So the first one, I think that's when they signed the Tanayim. I mean, I've never done it separately, nor have I ever filled that out Tanayim. A Tanayim is another document that most people don't sign nowadays, that comes before the Ketubah, that's signed by the family members. But yes, there's the first process and the second process. I don't know the distinction, because when I marry people, I do it together. But yeah, I mean, it is done in two. I mean, it could be done completely separately, just like the Virgin Mary. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. So now for the first part, though, like you still can't have you can't have sex until you've done the second part, correct?
Correct.
You can't say that word here either.
Yeah.
Does he know the rules? Oh my gosh, TikTok is horrible. Try to not use those words.
Oh, you can't use the word S,
Segs.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that. Look at them. TikTok is really, for a left-wing organization, left-wingers are liberal or are
They're puritanical.
Well, correct.
All right, my apologies, Rabbi. I didn't want to get in trouble. So you cannot do the deed until you have completed both parts of the ceremony, correct? Right?
Well, yeah. Okay. Look, although as Orthodox Jews, we believe in the oral law, which in some way frowns upon premarital sex. It's not as prohibited as people think it is from the Torah. It's frowned upon. I mean, as a matter of fact, the Rambam says that you get lashed even if you consummate the marriage via sex and not like via kesef. I mean, can you? It doesn't mention that. All right, I'm just saying it's just not done. It doesn't mention that like after the betrothal. It's interesting. I mean, then you would technically be married if you do it for the sake of marriage. I mean, apart from the later rabbinic ruling that you shouldn't consummate. There's two things that consummate a marriage, right? Kesef is like a money exchange. A shtar is a document, which is not the ketubah, by the way, because they say that they forgot how to write the document for marriage. This is why we don't write one nowadays. And then there's bia. So bia is having sex. Whatever. Here's the word. So if someone relations, yes. If someone has relations with the intention of marriage, and then not that people have to watch them doing it, but they go into a room where the assumption is, if you're in a room with a woman who's not your wife, and then you want to contemplate, and you make the statement that I'm entering this room and I'm going to do this act, right, via relations for the sake of marriage, then it counts and you're married. So from that perspective, I don't know why they wouldn't just consummate the marriage right then. Like, why would they want to split it up into two, but still want to have sex in the beginning when sex itself constitutes marriage? I don't know. I mean, are you asking for a friend? I don't know.
Well, I mean, for me, since I'm doing everything, for me, like since you're like a Makori rabbi, I always try to understand how to do halakha from the Makor. And that is because in the event I do get married, these are things I want to know. And also because people do ask me questions, because since you're very good at answering halakhic questions from the Makor, I try to do that also. And I'm asked these questions as well. So I always like to make sure I'm giving the correct information as I continue to study for myself.
Yeah, so there's no obligation to wait like a whole year. That may have been a practice, and I don't even think it was a practice in Torah times. For sure it was a practice in Yemen and in other places, but that doesn't mean that that's what they actually did in Torah times. There's a hint in the Torah, like when you read through, like through it that there's a separation, but it never says how long. So it for sure was cultural. But I'm sorry. I mean, I don't have a better response.
Oh, it's okay. I got you. Right. It's like cool. But that was the main question I had. But I'm going to be going to the Dominican Republic either next month or in May. So I'm going to have a layover in Florida. So I definitely would like to see you again in between my layovers.
We'll have a beer and a cigar. How about that?
Works for me. Have a good night, Rabbi.
Take it easy. There's no way to determine if the chicken was slaughtered correctly. What's the question? All right. Next question. Okay, hold on. Why do haters like put stuff in the chat and don't come up? I noticed that people who hate are not people who come up. There was this guy named remember Phil Hendry? Well, so Phil Hendry was this guy on the radio who I mean, he had a show for decades, and then he would have a show that he himself would be the guest. And in the beginning of every show, he said, this show is fake, this and that. And even at the end. And then he realized that people who called in, like appalled at the statements the guest would make, which would be himself, weren't the people who actually listened to the show. And he realized that callers are not listeners and listeners are not callers. All right. So I've come to that conclusion for those who write crap in the comments. Comments are not people who either know anything or are capable of debating, right? And people who do debate don't write crap in the comments. So that's just my opinion. Not a hater, just a guy who crossed your path. Yeah, okay. Fine. Although, yeah, I do have a lot of haters. There's a lot of, I think more people like me than dislike me. But just like my haters make a lot of noise. So, anyways. Yeah, no, you're cool, Christian. Why do you need religion? Why do you need a God? Those are big questions. Questions like that, Rod, is better like if you come up and ask them, just so that everyone, better so I can make this into a clip. You guys with great questions, you are my gold mine for content. Right? I use this to sort of splice it up and put it online and amplify my little initiative here. Right? I mean, I do have a goal for doing this, and I'm not on TikTok to make friends, by the way. I mean, I have 2 dogs. By the way, to my dog, I'm the Messiah. I'm here to in some way do damage control because I see people misrepresenting Judaism. Okay, and guys, I'm not the only one who thinks the way I do. Perhaps maybe in encouraging people to become Jewish, but in the way I teach Torah and the way I relate to Zionism, the state of Israel, this is the typical Haredi approach, almost in everything I teach. The problem is there aren't too many like religious people on TikTok, so it's so shocking. Most of the people who insult me on TikTok are like irreligious Jews who say like you're not an Orthodox rabbi, but they're not even religious. I mean, they're not even Reformed. So it's just like them being offended. All right.
Well, speaking of flack and hate, when do you resume your conversions? Is it still the first of the month?
Yeah, the first Sunday of every month. Guys, don't convert with me. If you live near like a Beit Din, that's what you should be doing. You should get the most recognized conversion out there. The only conversions I do are for people who have no other option. No other option. We don't charge, okay? If you have no other option, I'll convert you, okay? But it behooves you to go to your local community and become part of that community. I don't want anyone to say Asher Meza is telling people to come to him. Don't come to me, okay? I'm trying to provide a service as a last resort. Where'd this guy drop? There was some guy who was just up here. Like a Yemenite guy. Fine. Yeah, so the first Sunday of every month, you guys can come and convert down here. Yeah, it'll be a nice time. Anyways, it's the good thing I'm in South Florida. If I was in North Dakota, I mean, you guys couldn't make a vacation out of it. Okay? Disney World is like 3 hours away, not far from South Beach. Yeah, it's worth visiting.
Yeah, I'm in
2 hours from Disneyland.
Oh, okay. All right, you're in California.
So yeah, if you wanna, you can come to Rabbi Chai's community. Go to don't. If you see Rabbi Chai, do not acknowledge him, and he will not acknowledge you. He does not like to talk to people from the internet.
Really? But even women or what? No women?
What?
Especially women.
Whoa, you're from me. Are you married, Yehuda?
Yeah, he's from. You can't tell that?
No.
I'm not married yet, but B'ezrat Hashem, when Hashem wills it, I will get married. But I have, but a word to singles. when Yosef Hatzaddik was in the dungeon, he wasn't sure if he was ever going to get married, but he knew that even if he didn't, it was because Hashem was looking out for him.
Wow, that's a lot to say when that doesn't appear in the Torah. But how do you know that by God sending some girl who saw you in the internet is not him telling you this is the one?
I don't know. I really sketched out.
No, it's like the person who's drowning, and then someone comes to the boat, and the person's like, "God will save me." You know, it's like, and then he gets to heaven after he drowns, and he's like, "I send you a boat. I send you this." You know, so maybe the internet is look. The internet is a blessing in terms of shidduchim. Okay, there's no reason for anyone to be single. No reason. And if I can make a shidduch online, and I've done it already. There's already people who've been married because they met on my show. Let me try to hook you up, ladies. We have a single guy from California. What, you're Persian? We know Persians in California.
Yes, I am Persian. I was also vaping on the thing, but after I get married, I for sure will quit the habit for sure.
What's wrong?
My rabbi says vaping is usher, so don't let my rabbi know that you saw me vaping.
Your rabbi says vaping is usher. Okay.
Yes, he's very afraid, very black hat type.
Don't corrupt him. Continue on, sir. Continue on.
Anyways, Yemeni. Welcome, Yemeni.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. I wanted to ask, what's up with Pop Smoke in the bottom right corner?
Pop Smoke. All right, so I had Ernest Hemingway before him, and I had John Wayne before him, and I enjoy the three of them. I mean, I listen to gangster rap, surprisingly. I think Jewish music sort of sucks. So I wanted to even it out. I don't want people to say that I just got like old white guys up there. So this is like an honorary title for Pop Smoke. I know he's not with us anymore, you know. Yeah, so that's it.
Oh, okay, kind of just like
I like Pop Smoke. You know, I'm not
okay, fair enough. I got a question though about Judaism.
Yeah.
Specifically the red heifer prophecy I keep hearing about.
Mm-hmm.
Is that legitimate?
No.
Or is that like conspiracy?
So in the Torah, it talks about this red cow, right? That in order for us to create the waters that remove impurities that we acquire by touching someone who touched a dead person, we call it tumat met. We need to burn this cow, put the ashes in the water, and immerse them. Every year, all these like end of time. I mean, does Jack Van Imp still exist? Anyways, like. These end of days Christian channels are always saying the Jews are getting ready to build a temple. Here you go, and they'll show a picture like of a red cow with no flaws. The Jews are not getting close to building a temple. Okay, we're very far from any of that ever happening. Israel had a chance to build a temple in 1967 because they had the Temple Mount and they gave it back to the Arabs. They don't want a temple, meaning the people who run the country. So I wouldn't worry about that. There's an organization in Israel called the Temple Institute. My friend's dad used to run it. His name was Chaim Richman. It's in the old city, and they're responsible. I mean, it's not funded by the government. It's a private like organization. So they put together like the garments of the high priest, and I think that the menorah and like the rova in Jerusalem is sponsored by them. There's like a big old menorah. But yeah, the state of Israel is a secular country. They don't care anything for Judaism, with the exception that they have to cater to religious Jews who live in the country, so they give them some sort of rabbinate, some body to speak in their behalf. But no, it's not going to happen. I wouldn't worry about it. Remember this whole thing about the Messiah, like some guy named the Yanuka, and they're like, "Oh, look, here's a sign that it's the end times." That guy's long gone. His name is like Yehuda Beer.
I know his real name, but yeah, like I remember seeing that, and then like he just disappeared forever.
Weird. Yeah, his name was Yehuda Be'eri, I believe. Like he was.
Why did they make a big deal out of him?
Because people are bored. You know, people are bored. Yeah.
Hey, who were you talking to in the background?
So on YouTube, like I'm live on TikTok, and I'm like TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook.
Oh, simultaneously.
Yeah. Like, are you Jewish, Muslim, or what?
I'm Muslim.
Have you ever heard of the idea of people becoming Jewish?
I think I've talked to you about this previously, and that's kind of a foreign thing. You don't really see like Jewish missionaries, so to speak.
Yeah, well,
besides you.
Yeah, besides me. It's such an honor. So, truth be told, almost all Jews are missionaries. But however, like the mission they're promoting is not Judaism. Anyone who argues Israel-Palestine is proselytizing, by the way. They're proselytizing their ideas. There's a misconception that you're not allowed to proselytize Judaism. Misconception. This is why I do this show, by the way. So people who follow me could hear other knowledgeable Jews come up and challenge me. And I've been doing this for a pretty long time. And till now, I think with the discussions I've had with rabbis on here, I think it's safe to assume that they don't know enough about this topic to challenge me on it. There's nothing in Judaism that prohibits us from encouraging people to love God to such an extent that one day they would want to convert. I'm not here encouraging people to convert. Okay, conversion is a serious thing. However, I want them to look into Judaism and see if it's for them. It might not be for them, right? And it might be. However, I think that we just have bad PR. There's most Jews on TikTok who lie by staying quiet when Muslims say that you can't convert to Judaism, that it's only a blood thing, and they'll say, yeah, it's true. I'm Jewish because my mother's Jewish. It's true. If your mother's Jewish, you're halakhically Jewish. But if you convert to Judaism, you're just as Jewish. Like, why not mention that? All right? It for sure makes us look less bigoted.
What is your opinion on the situation in Palestine?
So I'll give you two perspectives, because I think as religious people, like who live in every, like in the modern world, we have to have two perspectives. We have the religious perspective and the secular perspective. From a religious perspective, neither Israelis, right, the average Israeli or the average Palestinian has the right to that land, because that land only belongs to people who keep the Torah, at least according to the Bible, right? I mean, God kicked out the previous nations, and he only allowed biblical Israel to flourish there as long as they kept commandments. So being that it's a washout from that perspective, we have to ask, who do I support in this conflict, right? In terms of values, who do I have more in common with? Secular Israelis who are tolerant. I mean, even if I was a Christian, I'd feel safer walking in secular Israel than I would in Gaza. Okay, like.
I've actually heard a Orthodox Jew say that they would be more comfortable with a Muslim as a neighbor than a secular Jew, because a secular Jew doesn't hold the laws. A secular Jew is somebody you're going to have to worry about. A Muslim has pretty much the same laws, pretty much the same rules that they abide by as far as ethics, morals, and values. So that's a pretty interesting statement that you made.
I'm not disagreeing with you from this perspective. You're telling me in America, okay, who would you trust more? A Muslim, it's a little hard, especially nowadays, because they may assume.
Actually, this was something in Israel. This was an interview in Israel of an Orthodox Jew in Israel.
Oh, that's okay. So that's kind of hard to believe, because I assume that because of Zionism, it's kind of hard to trust a Muslim to not in some way, But you're saying a Jewish Zionist would trust a Muslim over a secular Jew, like assuming the Zionist was religious?
A Orthodox Jew, leaving Zionist out of it. A Orthodox Jew, somebody who values Judaism and actually abides by the laws. I don't know the exact word for it, but typically when I say Orthodox Jew, it's somebody that's dressed in a certain way, has that braid. You know what I'm kind of talking about.
It's so hard to believe. I mean, it's hard. In America, maybe.
Talk about Hasidic Jews.
I can send you the video if you'd like. I can send it to you after I get off this live. But basically, he was saying that a secular Jew has less in common with him than a Muslim, because the secular Jew is somebody that knows the law and is pushing the law away, so to speak. While the Muslim, 9 times out of 10, Muslims are abiding by their, I would say even more than that, are abiding by the law. We're very strict and obedient when it comes to adhering to the rules of our religion.
Right, to Islamic law. Yeah. So I think that maybe what you heard was before the state of Israel, that Jews and Muslims used to be that close, that they would give their children to Muslims to take care of them. But this is before the state of Israel, not after the state of Israel. Like maybe that's what you heard.
No. So it was an interview in regards to kind of the conflict.
Oh, that's hard to believe. It's just hard to believe that
society's perspective on the situation. Of course, there are those very extremist Zionist Jews who are totally against it, but there was a respectable religious Orthodox Jew who said he would prefer to have a Muslim who is religious versus a secular Jew who doesn't hold the law.
So for sure, that person would be an outlier in terms of it's so rare for anyone to ever say that. Even Haredi Jews, like even anti-Zionist Jews, maybe David Weiss of Natur Karta maybe made a statement like that, but it's so rare. No, the average Haredi Jew would trust a secular Jew over a Muslim in this current climate. Do you not
see the protests in New York, for example, where there's Orthodox Jews protesting alongside Palestinians against the Israeli oppression?
Yes. So this is a group I mentioned. It's called Natur Karta. So Natur Karta is one group that does this, right? There are many groups that are anti-Israel, but there's only one major group that marches alongside Palestinians. And this is David Weiss. David Weiss, I believe, is still the head of Natur Karta. It's such a small group. You might as well, lump in like Muslims who misrepresent Islam. From that perspective, and there are many who do. There's like left-wing Muslims who believe that there shouldn't be a separation between men and women in mosques. I've had dialogues with a few imams. From that perspective.
Unlikely from that perspective, but I will tell you, it's less rare than you think. Being that in my small Midwest city, even at the protest that I went to, there was a Jew that was there, an Orthodox Jew.
You don't work out no more. You work inside now.
Sure. Hey.
Hey, Ulysses.
How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? Did you ever end up going to the synagogue?
Yes, I did, but you sent me to a Messianic Jew one, and I've been to a Messianic synagogue before, and I want to go to an actual Orthodox Jewish synagogue.
All right. Well, so let's put some backstory into this.
I really want to learn.
No, I got it. So for those listening, right, I typically don't encourage people to just go to a Messianic synagogue, but I told my friend Ulysses here to go to an Orthodox synagogue, right? So tell us what happened when you first went to the Orthodox synagogue.
They got it, bro. They got that whole. I was in the wrong neighborhood, bro. Dang.
Yeah.
It's like I promise you, bro. It's like the only way I can put it is like you're wearing a red shirt and you walk into like a crib neighborhood.
It's interesting, brother. Hey, try that in a mosque. Try that in a masjid, like a Muslim community center, and see the difference. See the welcome that you will get.
See, I've been to mosque and they are really friendly until I start bringing up Jesus.
We love Jesus. What do you mean? Jesus is one of our.
Yeah, but until I start telling them that Jesus is the Son of the living God, then they get a little hostile.
I will have no hostility towards you, but let me ask you: how could Jesus?
No, come on.
God,
yeah, but don't go into debate. Don't go into debate.
The Holy Spirit is God.
I get it. Yeah, but he belongs to a different religion. Let's not try to convert each other.
Okay.
I'm the only one allowed to convert people.
The point is, Judaism is kind of centered towards a certain people, while Islam was sent as a mercy for mankind.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. Coño, Ulysses, tanta bulla. Hold on. Let me you listen a little bit. All right. Well, so you know that Judaism was also given to mankind too, right?
It's interesting. I always hear it directed towards the children of Israel, Bnei Israel.
No, but in the Torah, it says that on Mount Sinai, right, when the children of Israel were born as a nation, it says that they were made up of a mixed multitude of peoples. And they all became Israel a few chapters later. So it shows that it was universal from the beginning. So Islam wasn't the only universal. Judaism is still universal. You could become Jewish as well, Yemeni.
That's the first time I've heard that from a Jew. Typically, I hear that you're born Jewish, and that it's not something you can really convert into.
Right. So most Muslims actually say that to me. And this is one of the main reasons I have this live. The average Muslim thinks that you can't convert to Judaism, and it's not their fault. It's the fault of Jews like who stay quiet.
Is that the Muslim perspective, or is that like the general perspective? Because I bet if you ask Christians or even like secular people, I think that's just, you know, the global perspective.
No. I mean, Ivanka Trump converted, right? I mean, that's a famous thing. Marilyn Monroe converted. Liz Taylor, Sammy Davis
Trump
Jr.
follows Judaism.
I'm sorry, what?
Ivanka Trump is a Jew.
Yeah. I mean, she keeps kosher food, kosher. Like she puts her kids in religious schools.
Her husband's what's his name again? Kushner or something? Harold Kushner or something?
Yeah, Jared Kushner.
Jared Kushner.
Yeah,
he's supposedly Orthodox. I have a question for Asher that's related to conversion, the semi-off topic.
Yeah, go
ahead. Asher, in your humble opinion, halakhically, can a transgender person convert to Judaism?
Technically, yes, they can.
Oh,
I mean, anybody can convert to Judaism. Would they be breaking a Torah commandment every day? Absolutely. In terms of, I mean, the Begarisha, like not wearing the kalim of a man. It's a Torah command that a man can dress like a woman and vice versa.
Hey, Mr. Asher, are you, like, as far as Jewish rabbis go, are you more on the conservative side or more on the liberal side or kind of moderate?
Conservative. Well, I mean, it depends, like, from what spectrum. Like, I'm Orthodox.
Just judging based on your answer to the...
Okay, hold on.
Judging based on your answer to the transgender question, I don't think that's the typical opinion for Jewish people. Oh my God, he's doing dishes.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so I didn't say that I would convert someone like that. I'm giving a legal response. Legally, could they do it? Is it possible? Yes. I mean, would I do such a conversion? No. But is it legally allowed? It's technically allowed. Now, there's many rabbis who give their personal opinions and say that it's halakha. I'm not going to do. I mean, heck, if someone wants to marry 4 wives, according to Judaism, is allowed also. Right? I mean, that I would perform, by the way. You know, but like most Jews don't do it.
According to Islam, it's allowed as well. Interesting. I didn't know that was halal in Judaism.
Yeah, well, because Muslims took it from Jews.
Similarity.
Yeah, Muslims took it from Jews.
So, do you guys practice that today?
There are some people who do, surprisingly, like in Israel. Yes, but it's extremely, extremely rare.
I wouldn't go as far to say that Muslims took it from Jews, because what you're failing to understand is both religions came from the same creator.
I know.
It's the same law.
I know.
It's the same law that was given to, you know.
Okay, but from an outsider's perspective, Judaism predated Islam. You know, it can't be a coincidence that they came up with Moses, David, Adam, Abraham out of nowhere.
If you're talking from a secular historic perspective, but if you're talking from a religious perspective, Islam has been here since the dawn of man.
Oh yeah, but that's if we believe in the same God. But I don't think Muslims and Jews believe in the same God.
Well, I guess that's where you differ. But I've even heard Jews themselves say that. I mean, we follow similar law. You know, we have similar opinions when it comes to Tawheed, or the oneness of God, of Allah. You can look at the similarities, or you can look at the differences.
Yeah, no, there's similarities There are for sure similarities, and that's why I keep on saying that Islam took a lot from Judaism in terms of practice. However, right when you say that the Torah that we believe in, right, is not the same Torah that we received on Mount Sinai, that's what makes it essentially a different religion. Because the only way we know about God is because of our Torah. If you have a different Torah, or like if you're saying the Quran is the correct representation of what the Torah would have said, then it can't be the same God then, right?
No, I'm not saying that it's the same religion by any means.
No, the same God. The same God.
Honestly, I wouldn't be able to say that because I don't know who you pray to. But what I'm saying is that the God of Israel is the God that I pray to, is the God of Islam.
According to Islam. But Islam came after Judaism, so we don't have to be courteous to share our gods. Look, if you believed in the Torah as we have it, then and worship the God of Israel as he appears in the Torah, then I would say we worship the same God. This is why I think
we'll have to agree to disagree on that point, because Islam was here since the Prophet Adam.
I know, but that's from an Islamic perspective, just from a reasonable, rational perspective. Okay, I mean, it's clearly, it may have the same name, you may have the same characters, but they're an Arabized version of David, Abraham, and even God, right? Because he's not the God of the Torah, because the Torah that we have, because you believe it's corrupted. So then the way you worship God or serve God is different than the way our God prescribed us to worship him. That's it. It's different. How can it be the same God then?
It's absolutely different. Yeah, no. The way we worship God is the way that it was prescribed in his holy book, in the Quran.
Yeah, right. And you believe that in faith. Just like do you believe that you worship the same God as the Christians?
Absolutely not.
Right, absolutely not. Like, why is that? Because you essentially have two different books, right?
Not just that. I mean, if you look at the whole concept of the Trinity, it's blasphemous.
No, I get it. But if you have like a Jew also denies the prophethood of Muhammad, like why wouldn't that mean that we have irreconcilable differences? But you do have differences with Christians.
That absolutely is a huge difference in methodology and belief. That would obviously mean we don't worship the same God or in the same way.
So a Jewish person who denies the will of your God, right? Because your God is one tenet of your religion is that Muhammad is the final messenger and prophet. If we deny that our God teaches that, then how could it be the same God?
I'm agreeing with you that it's not.
No, I mean the Jews. You said that we worship the same God.
I'm disagreeing. I'm completely disagreeing with what I said previously because I didn't know enough about Judaism.
Well, I'm okay. Anyways, I don't want to. Okay,
I mean,
next.
Based on what you said, that's we don't worship the same God. We don't have the same beliefs. What I guess what I was getting into is that the Jews that are mentioned in the Quran or Bani Israel, would have had the same commandments that we have. It's just it's an extension of the message.
Yeah, and this is why I believe that Islam is an extension to Judaism, or claims to be, or like should pay tribute to.
Not extension would be the wrong word because, like I said, Islam has been here since the dawn of man, since Adam alayhi salam. So it wouldn't be fair to say an extension. It's the original message. Were different names attributed? Sure. Were different prophets attributed to different people? Absolutely. But it's all the same message. It's the message of Tawheed, the oneness of God, and monotheism.
So why do you respond like if I was a religious Muslim and believed in anything the Quran actually said about history and God? Right? Like when you're talking to someone outside of your religion, that you can't say, because the Quran predated the Torah. I know you believe that. From a religious perspective,
I believe it as a matter of fact. So I mean, I'm going to speak it as a matter of fact.
No, not as a matter of fact. Hold on. You believe it as a matter of faith.
It's up to you.
That you believe it in a matter of faith, right? As a matter
absolutely
of faith.
Not. That's the difference between Muslims and other religions. Is that we absolutely believe it as a matter of fact. We are willing to unalive for our belief because of how strong and how firm of a belief that it is. Not unalive, but lose our lives.
Right. To martyr yourself. I mean, to be martyred.
That's not what I'm saying, but it's a strong conviction to the point where we are willing to lose our lives if that's what it takes.
I got it.
Not to martyr ourselves, not to what you're imagining.
No, martyr in a positive way.
What the media portrays.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is that our conviction is so strong. Our life is secondary to our beliefs, to our religion.
That's interesting. No, that I could for sure, agree that occurs. Now, someone could martyr themselves. I mean, the notion of martyrdom is not a bad idea. It was actually invented.
That's
by the
not
Jews.
what I'm referring to.
No, I know. It's a different thing. But regardless, the concept of martyrdom was invented by Jews, by the way. Right, or biblical characters.
You guys take a lot of credit for a ton of stuff, man, and it's just things that are mentioned in Islam very thoroughly and practiced in Islam very thoroughly.
No, I get it.
When Jews don't practice it as openly, for example.
No, I mean in the Bible. Okay, so Shimshon, like Samson in the Bible, he martyred himself to save the Jewish people. King Saul martyred himself for the dignity of the Jewish people. Moses told God that before you touch them, you unalive me. So the notion of martyrdom, like dying for a greater cause, like greater than yourself, is a Jewish concept, and this is how it reached Islam and Christianity, by the way. Like many of the apostles, like died for their beliefs. This notion of dying for the greatness or the ideas of your God is not strictly Islamic, right? Yeah, so I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's when innocent people or when wrong people are targeted, that's when it becomes bad.
Yeah, and that's not what I'm referring to.
No,
What
I
I'm
know.
referring to-
I know.
And from an Islamic perspective, that's not something that's acceptable whatsoever. As you probably have heard, I'm sure if you've spoken to many Muslims, if you take the life of one single innocent person, it's as if you've taken the lives of all of mankind.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, but you also believe in the notion of collateral damage, and I mean, sometimes, like, I mean, Stalin is attributed to saying that you have to break eggs to make an omelet. Yeah, so it's a tragedy. What you're essentially saying, that if innocent people get hurt in any way, it's a tragedy. But that doesn't mean they're not going to get hurt in any sort of conflict. I'm pretty sure you acknowledge that. So, yeah. So
Actually, no. There are rules of engagement. There are rules of battle, even, and women, children, innocents are not to be unalived.
No, correct. No, that's why I'm saying collateral damage, meaning that you're not targeting them clearly. But if someone, I don't know, in biblical times threw a boomerang and it hit some kid in the head and like he got gravely hurt, that would be a tragedy. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think on any. Well, I want to say, I think that the Islamic approach, at least in the land of Israel, is to view every Israeli as a combatant, and the interpretation I've heard for that is that almost every Israeli serves in the military at some point in their life, so they're not fully innocent. This is what I heard, like the arguments that Muslims make on it. So that's how they, in some way, write you off as not innocent, which I don't really agree with. But that being said, I also don't wish that women enter the military at all. But there's a problem with being too heavenly good that you're not earthly good. It seems that Judaism is interesting. It gets us to question leadership and never to trust, like our leaders fully. There's a statement in Pirkei Avot in rabbinic literature. It tells us to hate the rabbinate. The understanding is that don't fully trust leaders who are not under the auspices of God. Now, like, what are the auspices of God? I mean, similar to this global caliphate that Islam has in their theology, this really came like from the notion of a messianic age. We call it Yemot HaMashiach, which means that Israel would be living in the land in some sort of redeemed state under the auspices of God, that things could only work, that religion could only really be fused with secular society if God's in charge. Any other attempt is going to fail. This is why, I mean, I'm kind of glad that Israel is secular, because I don't want the religious parties in Israel controlling much, because whatever they happen to touch, they mess up. For some reason, I don't think Muslims see it that way. Muslims really live this utopian existence that they're in some way going to compromise tolerance, which is a necessity when God's not present, right? I mean, God's not running things. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So there has to be a certain level of tolerance. What?
We believe that God's law is not to be tampered with, or
no, I get it.
Flexed or changed or altered, or we can't really be flexible with the law.
Ideally, yeah, but you're limited by who in some way is in charge of that law, right?
Absolutely, and we're taught as Muslims to follow the law of the land. But when it comes to religious obligations, those are not negotiable whatsoever in Islam.
Yeah, I know, but religious Muslims in Dubai interpret, the Hadith and Quran in terms of politics a little different than they do in Afghanistan, a little different than they do in Iran. So only because someone claims to follow Islam doesn't mean, the Almohads had a different ideology than I don't know, like the Sufis. So people claim to go by the letter of the law, but it really depends on who's interpreting that.
So in that same sense, there's different sects within Judaism. There's liberal Jews, there's Orthodox Jews, there's Messianic Jews, but at the same time, there is one objective truth, being that there, among all these different sects, there is only one that is correct. It's impossible logically that there could be more than one correct truth. Yeah. There's always an objective truth. So being that
well, that's not true, by the way. Hold on.
The way it is.
I mean, you can't say that there's only one objective truth.
In Islam, the majority is Sunni Islam, people that follow the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. Okay. And if we are comparing apples to oranges, we should look at Sunni Islam strictly. Looking at like Sufi Islam, which is a couple percent, or Shia Islam, which is a very small minority, would be unfair. It would be an unfair comparison if we're looking at Judaism or Orthodox Judaism.
Yeah, no, the problem is, well, there isn't a Jewish republic, but there isn't a country that claims to be a resurrection of biblical Israel, nor that makes an attempt to run it as a theocracy. Unlike,
so is Israel not that country?
No, Israel's a secular country. I mean, the leaders are typically irreligious. There are religious individuals in the parliament, in the Knesset, right? But the country is a secular country. It doesn't, this war in Gaza is not one fought in the name of Judaism or in behalf of Moses or anything like that. Unlike those that we're fighting who actually put biblical verses on, or Quranic statements on their headband, right? Jews don't do that as part of their uniform, right? It's a secular country. This is something that many people don't understand unless they visit Israel, that it's not a religious country.
Do you support Israel as far as I've heard Jews say that they're not really allowed to establish a state because God expelled them out of the land. Do you support Israel's, I guess, right to have a country?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, but not on religious grounds, but on secular grounds. From that perspective, again, like neither Palestinians have a right to that land according to the Bible. Only Bible or Torah keepers, at least our Torah.
But from a religious perspective, even from your perspective, Jews are prohibited from that land. Palestinians are not.
No. It says that God even kicked out the previous inhabitants of the land because they themselves didn't live up to like the standards for that land. He considers the land holy, and the land spews people out. So, yes, secular Jews from a biblical perspective don't have the right to be there. And also people of other religions don't have a right to be there, right? It's a holy land. It says it belongs to God, right? And he gives it to whoever he wants. And he gave it only to the religious people who are in a covenant with him via his Torah. So being that those two groups don't really belong there, I have to make a judgment call based on values. Who would I rather control that area, like for the sake of me, my kids, and world decency? And I choose Israel, Western Israel, over primitive Palestine. That's it, and I'm pretty sure there's beautiful Palestinians and horrible Israelis, right? But for the most part, okay, I think that Israel is a lot more tolerant, a lot more decent and westernized than Palestinians are. I mean, I made this claim last time that Israel actually gives asylum to people who, from the rainbow flag community, from Arabs of all the surrounding nations. They come in secretly, and Israel gives them citizenship to house them, to protect them.
So is that something you support as a rabbi? Then?
No. Again, it's not a religious, like statement I'm making
this here. As if it's a positive thing.
It is Israel. A positive. Okay, it's positive when you're dealing with a government that the most you expect them to be is tolerant of different peoples and different ideas, and to separate the world ethically. Okay, in terms of ethics, harming other people unjustly, I support Israel over Palestine. Not biblically, okay? I get it. In terms of that area of, like in the area of, like supporting people of that community, Palestinians would agree more with me biblically. However, in this day and age, we don't need people that are too heavenly good that they're no earthly good, because we don't trust them. At the end of the day, you give them a little bit of power and they become tyrannical. Right now, I trust secularism, not atheists. People who want to respect Christians, because technically Christians who believe the Torah is done away with also don't have a right to be in Israel. Okay. However, being that I don't want a religious government there because I don't trust religious Jewish people as they are nowadays, I rather a tolerant government, versus an intolerant government. right? I mean, this is why I'm able to vote in an American election, even though the Republican Party doesn't completely align itself with my values. And I'm a Republican because I'm choosing the best, being the enemy of the better, right? But for some reason, Muslims can't make that balance. It's either you follow the Quran fully, right, and completely dismiss secular life, or you become an atheist. No, Judaism is a little more colorful than that.
I mean, there's absolutely gray area, but as far as your belief system as a Muslim, it's not compromisable. It's not negotiable. You have to believe that there's only one God, and you have to believe that the Prophet Muhammad is the last and final messenger.
So as a Jew, you have to believe in Torah also, by the way. You have to believe in Torah as a Jew. However, we don't live in a messianic age. We're in exile. I mean, the Bible tells us in Jeremiah that when he sends us to our host countries, that we should build houses, seek peace, and pray for the leaders. Meaning, these are idolaters we're essentially praying for the sake of decency and surviving. That means that we need to be tolerant at these times. When God brings us back in the proper way to the land of Israel, because we're still in exile, even though there's a secular state of Israel there, it's run by people who essentially behave like Gentiles. Okay, like unethical Gentiles from a Torah perspective. That means they're not as ethical as the God of Israel is ethical. Okay, I get it. However, when you have one group versus the other group, I can say that I support Israel over Palestine, like I support India over Pakistan, like I support England over Afghanistan. We have to make a judgment call, and I'm pretty sure you make that judgment call in many areas, right? I mean, are you a Republican?
I actually most likely will be voting Republican this year.
Yeah,
I consider myself conservative when it comes to American politics, but I'm surprised that every selection of countries you made are Western countries or countries that aren't Muslim. Is there a reason for that?
Oh, it's the only countries that I could relate with. I mean, I lived in Israel for 5 years. I mean, I was a settler actually for 5 years. And I lived in America. I lived in Brazil. I spent time in Colombia. So I don't know Islamic countries. I've been to Turkey. I don't know how Islamic Turkey is. Not very much, I guess, since Ataturk. But yeah, in terms of Islamic countries, I don't know much about how you guys live.
Okay, I mean, I guess it would be incumbent on you to look more into Muslim countries, look at the society, look at the lack of violence.
Well, by the simple fact that I'm not allowed to go to a Muslim country, right? I mean, I have an Israeli passport. If they found out I was Jewish, if I went into Lebanon, first of all, Israelis aren't allowed to travel to Lebanon, or vice versa. It shows that their level of intolerance means that they don't belong in this world. In other words, because they don't tolerate anyone else.
Do you understand where that stems from? I mean, have you stopped and thought of the fact that in 1948 there was a civilization, a society of people with similar culture, language, background, religion, living in harmony, living in peace?
I don't know about harmony.
They were living in peace and harmony. They were living without occupation, without violence. That's harmony. I mean,
hold on.
If you have your daily bread and peace in your land, you're the wealthiest. So they were living in harmony.
That when the Arabs, hold on a second, hold on. Wait. That when the Arabs were under the auspices of the British, why wasn't that considered an occupation?
It's interesting. So the British mandate wasn't an occupation as far as it is in Israel. It wasn't military occupation and oppression, and
they basically told you where you can live, right? I mean, they didn't allow you to just fly in if you didn't want to. Remember, I mean, there was a blockade from stopping Jews from coming in. There's a whole movie called Exodus with Steve McQueen. How Jews had to sneak in. In some way, because the quota was met on how many Jews were allowed to enter the country. Yeah. And also,
do you know what they still had? You know what the Palestinians still had under the British mandate was their land. Unfortunately, at this point, because of the Israeli settlers and invaders, they unfortunately do not have their land anymore.
So before 1948, the Jews who lived in what you call Palestine purchased the land that they lived from Arabs, by the way. So they purchased it. This is pre-1948. Kibbutzim weren't stolen. Now, settlements is something else. Okay, but pre-1948, under the Turks, Jews were able to purchase land. Under the British, they were able to purchase lands, and Arabs were happy to sell them land. However, nationalism, that's when the problem arose. Arab nationalism and Jewish nationalism. So Jewish nationalism is what we call Zionism, and the Arab nationalism was headed by people like Abdel Nasser, and it was an attempt. Well, really, I mean, like the Jews were the Arabs were used like as a marginalized people by many different groups that were trying to wield power at the time, including the Soviets, by the way. So the reason that the Arabs didn't complain when they were under the Turks is because Arabs have no issue being under other Muslims. Okay, they weren't under the British long enough, right? And although there was a lot of fighting back by Arabs and Jews against the British, I mean, the British were getting beat up so much that when they gave up India, they also gave up, that region, Palestine, whatever you want to call it, because it was costing them too much money, and they just wanted to get out. But they were getting beat up. They were being kidnapped by both sides.
Correct. Even in Arabia, even in Yemen, the same situation, and they were basically exiled and kicked out of the land. It wasn't a successful operation from a British perspective.
But it was also an occupation to a certain extent, right? I mean, people in India considered it an occupation.
Yes, absolutely. For almost 250 years, and in fact, there was it's called a mutiny of 1857, in which Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs joined together to fight against the British. Ultimately they were defeated, but definitely that was an occupation, and so was the Middle East. That was an occupation by British as well. Yeah,
I'm not against occupations, by the way. Entirely, and I'm not against colonizers entirely. I'm actually a big fan of the British and Victorian values, right?
It wasn't occupation when it comes to comparing it to what's going on in Palestine today. That is a different level. That is pretty much comparable to what happened in Germany in the 1940s.
So the problem I have with that statement, and I really don't want to make the show completely about politics, when land that you acquire in the middle of a conflict, especially in a conflict that you did not begin, and land that you ended up with because the people who ran that country attacked you, doesn't constitute land that's being occupied. It was land that fell in the hand of the Israelis. For example, in 1967, the Jordanians were asked not to enter the war. Okay, and they entered anyways, and it was, don't forget.
But come on, it didn't
the West
just fall
Bank,
into their hand.
Wait, hold on.
They weren't
Bank,
an organized people. They didn't have a military. They didn't really have much until the support of the West came.
Who Israel? Or
America supporting Israel, the UK supporting Israel.
So the bulk of the support, well, it was really, I mean, when Nixon really backed Israel in 1973 that he saved their lives. But in terms of Jordan being asked not to step into the war because the West Bank, or what people call the West Bank nowadays, was under Jordan. The old city was under Jordan. And then Jordan chose to invade with the other Arab armies, right? And they told other Arabs, again for the second time, right, in what they call the Nakba, what we call the war during our independence, the Arabs went away thinking that the Jews were going to be, driven into the sea, and that their land, Jewish land, would become Arab land. When Jordan lost the battle, they lost what you call the West Bank and the old city of Jerusalem, and half of Jerusalem, East Jerusalem as well, right? Which, I mean, half the old city of Jerusalem is in East Jerusalem. So it fell in the hands of the Jews. What were they supposed to do then? Would just give it back to Jordan?
But the international law.
Don't forget about international law.
No, but there are signatory to that. So there is no.
How do you forget about international law?
Forget about international law.
After the hostilities end, they have to give back the territory. You cannot take over and conquer and say, this is my land, this is against international law. That's why Palestine, Gaza, West
I don't really
Bank,
care about international law.
They're called occupied territories.
So I care about history? Wait, hold on. I care about history, logic, and reason.
About tolerance and following the law of the land.
Oh, what's interesting, I mean, during World War II, after World War I, and after World War II, when the major powers in the world started carving up Europe, right, and saying this land now belongs to this, we're going to create a country called Belgium, right? Meaning that the conquerors are able to divide the land however they see fit, but only when it comes to Israel do they have to equip and weaponize their enemies who attacked them before to be able to attack them again. It sounds completely irrational. This is why I don't care what international law has to say on the issue. Okay.
No, but it's binding on you.
Oh, no, I don't care. No, we're talking about ethics. We're not talking about politics. We're talking about ethics and history. Okay.
Right. These are like human rights. That's
if you sign a contract. If you sign a contract under Jewish law, even aren't you obligated to follow the contract?
Oh, I don't. Under Jewish law is something else. Okay, I mean, this is not a religious thing.
Don't you consider human rights as ethical?
It depends what you define as human law or like human rights. Okay, it depends. If it means equipping your enemies to harm you in the future, then yes, it could definitely be unethical.
That's not human rights.
Well, that's essentially okay. Yeah. So the international community is crying for a state of Palestine. Clearly, we create a state of Palestine with the military. The first course of action is for them to launch rockets into Jerusalem and to Tel Aviv. There aren't too many Jewish pockets.
Hypothetical. That's in your imagination, right? That's
my imagination. Okay. I think anything I say either confirms the obvious or you could determine it as wrong. Okay, this is quite obvious. If they're launching rockets from Gaza, right?
See, they wanted to make peace with Saudi Arabia, right? They were doing it. They wanted to make peace with Dubai. They were doing it with Morocco.
For sure,
they were doing it.
They don't claim that we're taking their land.
Palestinians their rights and peace would have ensued. But they wanted to gobble up.
They only want peace when it benefits them monetarily, financially. Otherwise, they're all for.
I'm not sure how it benefited us giving Gaza back to like solely strictly Arab rule. Don't forget, the Jews even interned their dead relatives. They took every Jew out of Gaza in 2005. There was whole industries there. There were gardens, greenhouses that, a few months later were full of
Mr. Asher, rockets. Do you think that compares to the atrocities that are occurring as we speak in Palestine?
Oh, I think those supposed atrocities are a bit unsubstantiated.
Unsubstantiated.
Yeah,
luckily we have live footage. Literally, we have live footage as far as social media, TikTok, YouTube.
Yeah, I'll tell you why you have live footage.
News sources.
So I'll tell you why you have live footage of buildings being blown up, because the state of Israel announces days before they attack any building. So anyone who chooses to be in that building or is forced to be in that building by the H group, okay, will end up being unalived, and someone will be standing there with a camera recording it, because the state of Israel, to date, is the most humane military.
No, it's not. They're doing genocide and using this.
All right.
That's not what I'm referring to.
Guys, anyways, it's late. Look, it's going to be midnight. Thank you.
Even the Israeli Bet Shalom, the Bet Shalom, their human rights organization, it is their finding also, along with
there are many anti-Israel Israelis.
Human Rights Watch. Right now,
only because you have Israelis that are anti-Israel doesn't mean anything. By the way.
Anyways, the politics is all messed up. Let's talk about God and
anyways, it's getting late already. Okay,
yeah.
It's 11:55.
Yeah, I one time I heard you say that Islam is idolatry.
What do you say with that? You're like,
the rabbis say that part I'm still trying to wrap my head around.
We've had this discussion before.
How is that idolatry?
Okay, so we've had this discussion before, right? You're my Pakistani friend. Can you be a monotheist and still be an idolater?
No,
they're mutually exclusive, and Islam is pure monotheism.
Okay. So being a monotheist means that you worship one God, correct?
Right.
So if you worship a turtle as God, would you still be a monotheist?
No.
But you're worshiping one God.
That's not a God worthy of worship.
No, look, whether he's worthy of worship is one thing. You would technically still be a monotheist and an idolater at the same time. So if you worship the wrong God, right, means that you may be worshiping one God, but you're still an idolater.
No, if you worship any aspect of creation along with the Creator, that's idolatry.
Okay, but you're adding to the definition of monotheist, right? You're adding to the definition. I'm not saying that. I know Islam believes that. Okay, but don't call yourself a monotheist plainly. Say you're an Islamic monotheist. Islamic monotheist. Have a prefix.
We are pure monotheists.
I know for Muslims, but you're not talking to a Muslim. Okay, I believe that you worship one God, but I just believe you worship the wrong God. That's it.
In the same way, you would look at us as idolaters. We would look at you as a mushrik, which is somebody who associates partners with God, because you worship the wrong God, like you said.
Well, not a partner from that perspective. I mean, a partner would be like a Trinitarian, right?
Sure. Yeah. So Christians would absolutely be mushrikeen, but in that same sense, if you are worshiping the wrong God, you are a mushrik as well. You are committing shirk.
No problem. Just so you get it, right? I mean, that you get the concept.
I understand, but I want you to understand that it's a two-way street.
For sure. Look, you belong to a different religion, right? I want you to feel that your religion is superior to mine, or then you'd become my religion, right? If you're a Muslim, be a proud Muslim. Okay. I mean, I assume that becoming Muslim or remaining Muslim has made you a better man ethically. Okay. It's better than being an atheist. Okay.
Absolutely.
Just like I think being Jewish will also make you better. And I think even better than being Muslim and Christian. But I mean, by the simple fact that I'm Jewish, I'm going to make that claim. I get it. So the only thing we could really argue, the basis is logic, reason, ethics, morality. That's it. In terms of religion, theological concepts, it doesn't stick because we belong to different
but those concepts have to be ethical and rational, right? At the same time, if I want you to give me a definition of God, because your definition of God seems to be evolving. So give me like in a straight shot.
It hasn't evolved. It hasn't evolved much. It hasn't evolved at all.
So what is your definition of God?
It has to be substantiated as well. Whatever claims you make.
Sure. So I always say that I don't believe in the Torah because of God. I believe in God because of the Torah. Meaning, God is who he presents himself to be in the 5 books of Moses. That's who God is to us as Jewish people. Meaning, God ultimately, unlike what Islam teaches, doesn't really present himself as omniscient, omnipotent, right? The only way God wants us to represent him or to present him to others as is righteous and just. For some reason that's like secondary, to most Muslims. They have all these embellishments, right, which are somewhat trivial. They're ethically trivial.
That's one of the 99 attributes of Allah.
If you have 99 attributes, then it covers everything. Okay,
absolutely.
So there aren't 99 attributes in the Torah. It seems that it focuses on the most important ones, and embellishments could be left up to the philosophers, to philosophize. That's it.
The attributes that are contained in the Quran and the Sunnah, those attributes also apply to your concept of God. I'll give you some and see if they apply or not. God is merciful, all merciful. Is that an attribute in Judaism? God is holy, right? That's an attribute in Judaism, right? God is sovereign. You have that as well.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
All powerful.
I know. Okay. Yeah, but it's a trivial. All that is trivial. God is sovereign. God is.
That's not trivial. That is as far away from trivial as it gets.
How does that apply to your everyday life?
Okay, absolutely. These are ways we can perceive God.
Yeah, but anyone can claim to be sovereign. First of all, okay, anyone can claim to be omniscient. It means nothing. However, the way we know that God is just and God is righteous is because of the Torah. The Torah has improved our lives. God so loved the world that he gave us a higher standard to aspire to through his commandments. This is why we know God is just and God is righteous, because we have a commandment to emulate God and then make our societies improved. All these other embellishments are a bit trivial. God is sovereign. Sovereign compared to what? Right? And there's only one God. I mean, who could even compete with God to say that he's sovereign too? Compared to us? I mean, that's a given.
In 2 ways, right? One being that he is the sustainer and creator of the universe. Secondly, when it comes to a social
anyone could claim that.
Anybody? When it comes to man-made law versus God-made law, God's law, he becomes sovereign.
Oh, so that's just. So that's being just and righteous. In terms of him claiming to create the world, it doesn't impress me, by the way, because anyone could claim that. Anyone could claim that.
No. Nobody can claim to create the world and all that is contained in it. Nobody can claim to create the.
You could. I could claim it.
The human body.
I mean, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it, but I could claim it.
You say that Torah is ethical and therefore it is superior, right? But I say Torah is not entirely ethical. There are holes in its holiness.
That's fine. There's nothing entirely ethical on this planet, by the way. There's no perfection found anywhere. However, the Torah is better.
If God is perfect, His word should be perfect.
Oh, here you go. I mean, another embellishment.
Okay, for instance.
Wait. Hold on. So why do you walk around telling people that God is perfect? I mean, isn't that a bit trivial? I mean, can you prove it? Wait, I mean, can you prove that God is perfect?
Yes.
How?
Absolutely, God is perfect.
No, I know that you believe it as a creed. But if you go up to a homeless guy and tell him, you know that God is perfect, and he's going to be like, so what?
Because human beings are treating him that way. So, if you have capitalism who's siphoning the resources of the people of the country, and the elite is capturing that, and their homelessness, God is not to be blamed for that.
So that's righteous? That's being righteous and just.
Even from a logical, rational, scientific perspective, like looking at complexities contained within the earth, you can derive that God is the creator of all things, that God is the most powerful, that God is
the creator. Wait, hold on. I mean, hold on, man. If that was true, then there'd be no atheist. If you can prove God, there'd be no atheist. We have evidence for God. We don't have proof for God.
Are illogical. They have no evidence for their beliefs, so they choose not to believe. Gravity exists. We have no evidence for gravity.
But there's a distinction for evidence. No, we do have evidence for gravity. We just don't have proof for gravity.
Okay, so you understand what I'm saying? We have proof of God.
We don't have proof of God. We have evidence of God. Anyways, guys, I gotta go because it's midnight.
Whatever the terminology is.
All right, guys, take it easy. Bye. Bye. Yeah, I mean, sorry. Like, unless you want to throw something in quick, but I just ended the TikTok live. All right, until next time.